south as you're like coming in.
Okay.
I'm about to pass there, so I'm not far now. Okay.
Around here.
Alright, I will be there shortly, man. Alright, buddy.
See ya.
Alright, see you. Well, you're about to meet Adam. And I got a message from a subscriber. He's actually a subscriber. I got a message from him, said, hey man, I watch your stuff or whatever. And he said where his land was, and he said where it was, and I'm very familiar with the area because I grew up not far from there, and my wife's actually from this area, and so he told me that he'd like for me to look at his property and kind of show him how I would hunt, or how I do hunt river swamp, specifically in the southeast. This is actually a regen river swamp, so it's been cut pretty hard aggressively, and it's just hardwood regeneration. There's some SMZs on it, some sloughs, one big bluff on it. So anyhow, he asked me if I would show him how I hunt that type of terrain. And anyhow, great guy. We talked a while, and I'm just about to meet him in just a second. We're gonna go over his property and just look at doing a little scouting. So y'all join us today. It's kind of rainy on and off, but it doesn't look like it's going to be raining the rest of the day. So so I just pulled in here and I found them because their other road, the easement, was locked. So coming in this way. What's going on, man?
What's going on, brother?
Shake with my left hand.
Oh,
because
that's gonna be weird.
The right one's kind of messed up. Anyhow, we are just got here. This is Adam. Adam, everybody.
What's going on?
And you're what, sergeant?
Yeah.
Adam's in law enforcement,
yeah.
So don't trespass on Adam's land.
Yeah.
Because I'll be watching it too. Anyhow, we're gonna do some scouting out here and just kind of get a general feel of his property and kind of how we hunt southeast swamps. That's kind of the gist of this video, and I might go hunting down the road if we have time, but anyhow, that's what we're about to do now, and see y'all later. So Adam said they were riding around and saw a big buck laying right here on this mound of dirt, which it makes sense when he was right here, wasn't he?
Yep.
Laying right here?
Yep.
Yeah, he's got acorns to eat in here too. He was just sitting. Was he laying next to that tree? So that makes sense, Look what he's got around him. He's just surrounded by water. All in here. So he can sit right here and watch anything out here coming in. He's got water all behind him. So I mean, this is something you'll see a lot of times in this swampland like this. They'll lay on these little pockets and stuff, and their bedding will change throughout the year based on what the water level's doing. So that's why it's important to mark these little spots. So if this one probably is not something you'd probably set up on just because of where it's at, but you find little things like this out in here deeper, little different things that might not show up on the topo, mark those spots, because that's the kind of stuff that a buck will definitely utilize. All right, we're gonna go on down and do some more scouting.
So that buck was right there on that little mound. And when y'all saw him, he jumped up and went out this way. And that's probably, I will be looking at these topo lines here, right there, and that other point right there. That's probably, and if you could come in off this road, you coming off that road and slide in there, you need something from the south, or really you could cheat a northeast wind or something east. That would be good for an east, because your wind's going to be blowing like this, kind of, or cheating it this way.
Okay.
And then he's going to be walking into the wind, leaving out. And he's probably got several little spots like that all out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can't see him on the topo, but he's probably got some like that. And so on the east wind, if he's leaving out the bed from somewhere in here, because he's probably got more than just that one, he's probably going to cheat the wind cutting into his nose. So you wouldn't think that right up there would be a good spot, but seeing what you saw, put the pieces of the puzzle together, and now you know that's the area you probably need to pay attention to.
Yep.
Because if he's doing it once, he's going to do it again. And even if the water recedes some, he'll probably have another bed deeper in there that's going to hold water around him.
Yeah.
He definitely likes, these bucks, they like bedding around water. It's kind of a similar feature that we're targeting in these southeast swamps, but you got a big break of water through here, and you can see across there's some dry ground. So that's something that probably y'all would never even go in there. That's probably where the buck's going to be, because he's got, number one, no pressure. You don't have to worry about anybody coming in on him. If you have something like, hip boots or a kayak or something like that, it makes it a lot easier to get in there on it. And I'd like to go over there and see if I can even get in there. You think it's deep?
No clue. We'll find out though.
So we're right here looking towards across this water break, or this slough. And if you see, all this in here is dry ground. Especially if you find there's probably some oaks that are dropping pretty heavy in there right now. Probably some water oaks and willow oaks. That'd be something I'd look at. So you got a wind coming from the north like this. So if you ever get a north wind, it might be a situation where you put in a little boat or a kayak or hip boots and work the edge down here, swing way around, or maybe you come in way over here and hook into this and hunt it from that angle. That'd be your access right there. So that's something that I would pay attention to right there. That's gonna be too deep.
Yeah.
So that might be a situation where kayak might be better, but we're gonna go down and see if the water's shallower on down, see if we can get to it better. Probably don't want to access it from this point anyhow, because he's probably gonna be looking back at this access where your road is. Probably want to come in way on down over here and hook into it. So the biggest thing I look at with something like this, like a setup like this, so behind us is where we were looking at that slough, that water break is, and that little island. So if he's probably going to be bedded somewhere in there. The other bed wasn't far from there. So there's a feeder right here, and the stand's right there. So you would probably be better here, especially if you're gun hunting, to have your stand way on down here, because what you're having to do here is you're having to walk through this area to get to the stand. You know what I'm saying? And the buck's coming from that way, so he could easily swing downwind of you right here. So I would have it, I'd tuck it up in those palmettos right there. Yeah, something like that would probably be a better entry and exit for something like this, just because the bedding, he's going to be bedded on a little island.
Okay.
But we'll see if we can get over to it. It might be shallower from here. Stand feeders back this way. Island, you can see the dry grounds right across there. That's what we want to look at. Just confirm what we're thinking.
Go down that trail on the road there, and maybe we can access it back that way. If we can cross this creek on the main road and come back in from that side.
Oh, you think you could cross into?
So the road obviously runs down this way.
You think you can get to it from there?
I think. I mean, hopefully the road's a little bit higher than back in here.
Because I'm getting close and I'm a wuss, and look at these guys. They're all over their boots.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
I don't have a change of clothes, that's my excuse. We'll see if we can attack it from a different angle. Don't overlook, especially when you got a big piece of property like this, don't overlook checking on, like identifying and finding your swamp chestnut oaks, your white oaks, your water oaks, your willow oaks. You scout and find stands of that and check on those food sources.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll identify some stands of, if you've got any defined stands of oaks that we can identify, that might be something you check on. But yeah, I put that tower, I move it from there up in that little thicket right there, and I would also hunt it on something from the northeast or east. You know, west can be iffy, but you might be able to get away with it depending on where he's bedded on that island. So we'll move on down to the next spot. So the recommendation was to move it from over there where they can be seen accessing the stand to come in off of this, and you see all these palmettos is giving you cover. So they got the stand right there, and they'll probably move it. They'll probably move it right in here so they can see that feeder if they choose to hunt the feeder, and they won't be seen accessing the stand. There you go. See the difference? Now it's blended all up in there as opposed to sticking out kind of like a sore thumb right there. Alright, so you got a rub up here on the hill and an old scrape. But yeah, so this spot right here, I would say we're gonna do a little survey here, just see if our intuition is correct, because you asked me why there's an Indian cherry tree over here. You asked me why I thought that you'd have a daylight picture of a big buck right here. My first reason was because y'all don't ever come up here, right?
Yeah.
That's number one. So it's secluded, so nobody comes up here, and it's got a lot of security cover around it, big thickets all around it. You've got a big black gum bay over here off to the south. You can come in on this access road right here and brush you in a ground blind where you can in and out real easy. Can you access from the top?
You could.
So another thing you could do, you could just sit up there on that dirt mound and shoot down. Not a lot of intrusion, and we'll let y'all know what we get on this camera. Gonna do the old proverbial corn and camera, so gonna keep scouting, see if we can locate some natural food sources that'll be dropping throughout the season for these guys.
Hold on, let me get a good hold of the bag.
Get that corn fairy swag for us, Adam. Show them how it's done. Got that
the
corn
proper
fairy
technique and the proper grip.
That's it.
It's all in the hips.
That's it. Rock the baby.
All in the hips.
Rock it, rock it.
You go this way. It's another technique if you want to use it.
That's it.
I prefer the side to side, east to west.
Take that buck to the dance.
Yeah. Get a little drop step.
Slow dance with them. Alright, we're about to go find some other stuff. So sometimes when you're hunting these swamps like this in the southeast, just take advantage of where the deer live and what they call home, which is the swamp. So the main thing that comes to mind is the water. The water's gonna dictate how deer move and traverse through a piece of property. So what we have right now is we have backed up water over here. We've got backed up water over here. And right here is the little peninsula, this dry ground that runs all the way out here through this swamp. And you can see, you can't see it on the camera, but I can see where deer have been cutting across through this. So what we're gonna do here is just set a cell camera up looking back at this little transition, and we'll see how that plays out. And as far as your stand, Adam, you know, you can just kind of pick you a tree on either side of this for whatever the wind is.
Yeah.
You'd be fine, just walk right across. I mean, you got boots on and it's water, still water here, but you might swing through this little swamp right here and get in that cypress or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could just, if you've got a north wind, just walk right across this, then take your hip boots and swing into that cypress right there. Probably have a 25-yard shot to this gap. And then on this other side, you know, I don't know. You'd have to find. I mean, you could hang a lock on 5 foot off. You could hang a lock on this side 5 foot off the ground if you had to, just to have something to sit in. Just tuck up in that stuff right there. So. Alright, so another thing that you can do, another strategy to use southeast swampland, find these sloughs. If you look on the map, you can see there's a slough there, and we're in a hard transition here. You got to transition from thick swamp palmetto to open hardwoods. And what I like to do is just walk these sloughs. If you see back there, you can see where these deer will walk the edge of these sloughs. So what I'm looking for is right here would be a good spot. First hunt in, you know what I mean? First hunt in, get in here somewhere.
Yeah.
But a lot of times also there's tracks coming across that tells me the water's probably shallower right here, crossing this slough. So that's one thing I look for. But from here it's just boots on the ground scouting really, and just when you find something that's pretty fresh in this vicinity, you find a hot oak tree, big swamp persimmon, something like that. You find a good rub line, a bunch of scrapes. We're way back in here off this road, so this is like a good starting point. And from here, you know, you stage hunt it. You just hunt. You go further and further in, and just pay attention to the sign. Alright, so in summary, what I would do, if it were me, I would, as the water level goes down, like we talked about, you'll have more stuff that you can kind of venture into with the wind in your face, put the climber on your back or something like that, and just kind of take your time and scout your way through and try to identify food trees. Willow oaks, water oaks, swamp chestnut oaks, white oaks, persimmons, you know. And it'll take you some time, you know, to do that because the water level's pretty high. But don't just have a reason why you're hunting somewhere, and try to just stumble on something that sticks out to you. Like somewhere out here there's a group of persimmons right now that's dropping that a big buck's coming to in daylight, you know.
Yep.
So it's gonna take time. But me personally, I get off these roads, get off the food plots, you know, places where they've been pressured before, and you know, you got big water oaks up here. Find that off in the woods. It's a bigger tree. But hopefully we all learned something today, including myself. You know you're in the swamp when you find crawfish. Oh. And that'll do it for this video on how to hunt southeast swamps, specifically ones that have been clear cut and are hardwood regen. So mark where those deer crossed.
Okay. We'll mark it up here.
Yeah. We just had a bunch of deer cross the road, so whenever I'm walking through stuff, I see deer cross a certain spot, you better believe I'm gonna go mark that spot and pay attention to it. But
I just want to give a shout out, Jordan. Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you for coming down here and giving us, sharing some knowledge. If you don't follow Jordan's page, just go ahead and click subscribe. Give him a follow. This man knows what he's talking about, especially when it comes to Southeast Georgia whitetail hunting.
well, I'm learning every day. Well, hope y'all have got something from this video about swamps. We're gonna thumb around here a little while longer, and appreciate y'all watching.